And we are live. So, the topic of conversation is Countgate. We went from Watergate to Glovegate to Soupgate, and now we're at Countgate, which is, I guess, originally the original OG thing because the first fight, the count was off in the 12th round. And now we're back full circle in the third and final fight, possibly final fight, where there is now a counting discrepancy in the fourth round. And I had to go back to watch this because I didn't even know this was going on. Like, I got a text from one of my subs and they told me about this, and I was like, what? When? When did this happen? Where did this happen? And I look back at it. Now, I will say this. There's a few things we have to understand about boxing, and I brought this up before whenever I was talking about it. And to the playback, you'll catch this. To people just joining, you're going to miss this. But regardless, I digress. So here's the deal. Humans are not stopwatches. They're not perfect clocks. Nobody can keep perfect time in the heat of the moment. Now, if you train yourself good enough, you might be able to do it just here. But when you watch somebody hit, they touch the canvas, to have zero delay in timing to start your count and to remain with real world seconds is very hard to do. That's why a lot of times, if you go back, watch fights, you'll see a ref either count for too long or count for too short. In other words, they'll count a guy out at 10 that may be only been down for 7, 8 seconds versus actual 10 seconds. And vice versa. You might see a guy down for 13 seconds and the referee's only at 8 seconds. In this case, it wasn't 13 seconds that Fury was down. Now, there's some things that you have to keep in mind. I've heard an argument about, you know, that it's invalid saying that Wilder came out the neutral corner and that's why the count was stopped, because that's an argument, and to me that's an invalid argument because you do have a timekeeper that's ringside. Now normally timekeepers keep track of the time when the fighter hits the canvas so the referee can look at them after getting the one fighter to the neutral corner and then resume the count where the timekeeper has it. Secondly, normally you don't see a guy take a fighter to the neutral corner after he's already done it and then look back at the timekeeper. I'm not sure how that works because it's very rare that you see a guy come out of the neutral corner and have to be placed back in that same neutral corner. But regardless, the count is supposed to stop by a ringside timekeeper the minute a fighter touches the canvas. That's any part of their body touches the canvas. The count does not start as they are falling. I watched a video that was a debunking video about this. Now, what the video said was pretty much that Wilder had 12 seconds by the time the referee was the 8, and Tyson Fury had 12 seconds by the time the referee was the 8. However, in that same video I watched, I don't really think it covered the discrepancy. The discrepancy I saw from that video debunking it, and I've watched other videos since where people are trying to prove it, is the second knockdown. Now, the question is, and from what I saw, Fury got knocked out in 17 seconds. He was fully up with 6 seconds left on the clock. What's going on, Mark Antony? So he was fully up at 6 seconds left on the clock, which in real world time is 11 seconds, no matter how you look at it. Because I say that it's somewhere between 10 to 11 seconds. Because the problem is, from the views that I have seen, when the clock hits around 8 seconds, the camera cuts back to Wilder, and then it cuts back to Fury, and it's somewhere around 7 to 6 seconds to where Fury is completely up. Now, here's some things about it that people need to understand. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that real world counting is not the same as a clock. People can be off, whether they're fast or slow, first off. Second off, you've got to understand that fighters are trained to stay down till they hear the 8 count, so you can utilize as much time as possible before you get up. Now, when I look at both the times that Tyson Fury was knocked down, he pretty much got knocked down the same way. His eyes were full open, and he was looking at the referee. Took some deep breaths, and then he got up. However, he was paying attention to the referee. So to say that he didn't beat the count to me is not really honest, because he was watching the referee to see where the count was at. Now, if the referee was at number 6 saying 5, 6, in real world time, say it was at 8 seconds right then, although it would have been less than that considering he was up. But let's just say he was at 8 seconds, not 6 seconds, right? It's irrelevant to what the real world says, because Tyson can't see a clock, a stopwatch going, timing how long he's been on the canvas. His knowledge to how long he's been on the canvas is the referee counting in front of his face. So if the ref says 6 seconds, that means to a veteran fighter, in your mind, you have 2 more seconds before you need to start making your way up. And the reason why you want to utilize all this time is so that you can get your wits back, so that you can take the maximum amount of time before you get hit again. So that's why veteran fighters take longer when they get dropped. It could be a flash knockdown that didn't even hurt, and they'll still sit on one knee, look at the referee, wait till he says 8, then they'll stand up. Now, here's the thing about it. When it comes to referees, there is no standard. I have seen it go both ways. I have seen fighters take a knee, wait till 8 to get up, and then the referee waves it off, even though the fighter would have beat the 10 count. They just wave it off if they're not up by 8. I have also seen refs that don't wave off the fight when the fighter gets up at 10. Like, pretty much what I mean by that is the minute they say 8, the fighter starts to make a move up, they just quit counting. They don't do 9 and 10. Even though if you were doing it with them, they wouldn't have beat it. Some referees, when they see the fighter start to get up at 8, they just stop counting. Raise your gloves, walk towards me, whatever their instructions are going to be. So that's some things that people don't even bring up. It varies from referee to referee. Now, I will say this. Tyson Fury, from my eyes, was down for 11 seconds. Real world. In the first fight, where everybody said he was sleeping, he got up before 10 seconds. Period. He was fully up by 9 seconds real world clock. This time, he wasn't. However, when you compare the second knockdown in the first fight to the second knockdown in the third fight, they did not look the same. You saw a Fury that looked like he was unconscious, that beat the count. And this, you see a Fury that was fully conscious, that people are saying didn't beat the count, even though he beat the referee's count. Now, was it a long count? Yeah. But I say every single count in this fight was a long count. Every time Wilder got dropped, it was a long count. Every time Fury got dropped, it was a long count. I've never seen a referee take as long to get back to the action as I have seen with this referee. Literally, it looked like it was taking 20 to 25 seconds before he was done giving them instructions and moving them around, asking them, are they ready to fight, before he started the action back. I've never seen it take that long. But that's how long this referee took. He did not just take that long with Fury. He also took that long with Deontay Wilder. So I would say that if you look to see if there's favoritism shown, you have to look in the consistencies and the inconsistencies. And I would say he was consistent on both fighters with the way that he was counting and how much time he gave them after they fully arose. Now, I can understand people not understanding that a 10 count is not the same as a 10-second count. A 10 count is me standing in front of somebody, if I'm the referee, going 1, 2, 3. It's supposed to be a 10-second count, but again, it's not called a 10-second count because people know that people are not stopwatches. So there's going to be some variation in time, whether it's too fast, too slow. That's just the way it is. People are imperfect, and because they're imperfect, it is called a 10 count, not a 10-second count. That is mistake number 1. I would have to look in the rules, but I do not believe the rules say it's a 10-second count. I believe even the rules say a 10 count, which is different. Words matter, and missing words matter. And trying to add to also matters because it changed something from what it is. You can't do that. You have to go by what the rules are, and it's a 10 count. So, again, I come back full circle to this. I don't agree with Countgate. That's what I'm calling it. I don't agree with it because I just, from my eyes looking at it, being unbiased, I don't see how, if the referee would have counted faster, Fury wouldn't have beat the count. That's my contention to this. If Fury would have looked the way he did in the first fight, second knockdown, in this third fight, second knockdown, then I would say this has some validity. If Fury looked like he was knocked senseless, there would be a lot of validity to this. However, in this fight, the trilogy, the third fight, I saw a Fury on the ground with his eyes wide open, not even laid out. He was like sitting on the side, and he takes some deep breaths and then he gets up. So I see a fighter that is conscious. That's what I saw. I saw a guy who was tracking, following the referee, watching the count. The minute the referee got to 7-8 with his fingers, he was getting up and he was standing up. In fact, I think he was fully up by the time the referee said 8. So, again, I don't see how. I dropped the link. So if anybody disagrees, they can tell me how I'm wrong. But from all the boxing matches that I've watched, I know that counts can vary. I know no referee counts the same. And I know no 10 count is ever the same as the last 10 count. And again, you would have to show me and prove to me, and anybody else who sees this, that the ref showed unfair competition practices by giving Fury more time. That's what you would have to show. And from everything that I've seen, I don't see that. I see both guys getting 5 years to recover and then they come back to fight. That's what I saw. Um, I would be very curious about how long Deontay Wilder was down whenever Fury hit him and he kind of like buckled over and fell on his legs, because it was a good 3 seconds that Wilder was on Fury's legs. So maybe he beat a real world 10-second. I don't know. But I know from watching the knockdowns that the referee looked like he was counting exactly the same every time they fell down. He gave the same recovery time every time they fell down. And again, I haven't even been to the channels pushing this narrative. I literally heard about this today, or late last night, actually. It was late last night, and I wanted to go live to talk about it. I haven't even been over to all the channels, but I can guess the channels that are doing it. And my thing is this: it's money. It's money, in my opinion. Like these these conspiracies, these narratives, like it's all about follow the money. Follow the money. Are they making money off this content? If the answer is yes, then there's why more conspiracies are happening. Because in my opinion, this was the most fair fight of all of them. Like Fury's gloves. In fact, I'll tell y'all how fair this shit was. Actually, how unfair this fight was. If you were watching the fight, okay, they kept the camera on Fury's dressing room the whole time. I didn't see Deontay Wilder's dressing room once. Every time they flashed to the back, they were only showing Tyson Fury's locker room. I have no idea what Deontay Wilder was doing in his, because I never even seen a footage of it. I saw footage all night of them keep flashing back to Tyson Fury in his locker room. So my thing is, this dude, because of all the cheating allegations, was underneath a damn spotlight. And if the rumors were true about needing egg weights to knock Deontay Wilder out, this proved that that is not the case. Because unlike the rematch, there was no towel, there was no referee that stepped in. No, what happened was Tyson Fury sidestepped, hit Deontay Wilder with a straight right on his ear, and dropped him. He slapped him. It was over. He was done. He slapped him. He got the legitimate knockout. This is what I said after the fight. This is what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted him to go out on his shield, and he did. He did. Now, here's what I don't get. People who claim that they love Deontay Wilder, people who claim that they like Deontay Wilder, they're going to come up with more lies, more conspiracy for what? What's the outcome? If it's not for them to get money, what do you want? A fourth fight with Fury? I'm telling you right now, with as much punishment as Wilder took in that rematch, and now in this trilogy, if he has another fight with Tyson Fury, he'll never fight anybody else. This man will be so beat up, so destroyed from the wars that he's had, that it's over. The types of fights that he had with Fury are the types of fights that take years off your life. So don't nobody really care about Wilder if they're trying to get him in there a fourth time, because this is clear as day that Deontay Wilder cannot beat Tyson Fury. He can't do it. He can't do it. He cannot beat him. They could fight 100 out of 100 times, and Deontay Wilder is going to lose all 100 times. That doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. That doesn't mean Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Usyk, and the other top heavyweights, Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, etc., Ajagba, who just lost, Frank Sanchez, who just beat him, the real big baby, Gerald Anderson. That doesn't mean any of those guys can beat Deontay Wilder. But what it does mean is Tyson Fury has his number. He is the counter to Deontay Wilder. You see it from time to time. Certain fighters can beat everybody. Not saying Wilder can, not saying he can, but let's say he could. You got fighters who can beat everybody, but there's just that one guy they can't beat. And Tyson Fury happens to be that one guy that Deontay Wilder cannot beat. And trying to push more lies, more allegations, more conspiracies is either one or two things in my mind. One, you're trying to profit off of it, or two, you're trying to push for a fourth fight. And if you're trying to push for a fourth fight after watching the ass whoopings that he took, you don't give a fuck about that dude. You don't care about his health. You literally want to see this guy go out on his shield, because that's what's going to happen if they fight again. If Wilder doesn't have some fights in between, if you throw him in there immediately with Tyson Fury, who knows? He may get killed in the next one in the ring. I mean, if you look at the end of the fight, he was bleeding out his ear again, bleeding out his mouth, bleeding out his nose. I don't get it. I'm going to read these comments real fast, and then I'll go back to count it. Said live. He said, this is nonsense that caused me to leave this space after the second fight. Unnecessary controversy. Exactly. The referee gave both fighters long counts. Correct. It's called a 10 count. Count was restarted where it was left off. Wilder did not go to the neutral corner. Regardless, Fury was up about 9 seconds on 8, according to the ref. The Countgate video and recommendation has been popping in my streams for the last 2 days. True, never showed Wilder's changing room. How about Dr. Gate? 0 reasons to delay start of 9th round except to buy Wilder time. Oh shit. Just like Ortiz, doctor, who quite likely changed the results in that fight. So, yes, you did have that bizarre moment to where, was it the 8th round, the start of the 8th round, that the ringside doctor came in, not in between the rounds, not when Wilder was sitting in the corner like he's supposed to, but after the fight or the round should have started, he came into the ring, delayed it by a good 20 seconds, 25 seconds before the round could actually begin, extending the recovery time to check Wilder out. That's something now twice that's happened, as he says, Dr. Gate, referring back to Ortiz in their first fight, that Deontay Wilder's had a doctor buy him more time and not been inspected when he was supposed to. And that's when he was sitting in the corner, not when he's about to go out to fight another round. He didn't have a cut. His vision wasn't impeded by swelling. Why are we delaying the fight? Why didn't the doctor check him out in the corner? Why are we waiting for the 8th round, I believe it was, to begin? Doesn't make sense. So, it was the 9th round? 9th round. Okay, I said 8th round. My bad. I just read it. I'm slow. But, so I don't think Deontay Wilder is making excuses. I think it's people who follow him who are, the same channels that make a lot of money or made a lot of money off of Glovegate, Watergate, the first Countgate. Let me see, Flappy Glove. It's to me, man, I can't do that. I cannot make a video to make money off of it by clickbait. I can't do that. I can't. It's like I have no emotional ties to these fighters. None. Zero. I don't do interviews with these fighters. I don't try to get interviews with these fighters. I don't try to call them. I don't try to go to their camps. I don't try to meet them. I don't try to do anything with them. Why? I don't really care to travel. I don't idolize other humans like some people do. I don't look at somebody and be like, oh, you're amazing. Because I see people as just other humans. Like you're just another person. You know what I mean? You can just happen to box, or you happen to play football, or that. I don't get starstruck around nobody. So, and I also know that because I'm so unbiased, I can never do interviews because if I interviewed somebody, it would only happen one time because I'm gonna ask them all the stuff all the other people won't ask them, and then they'll never do an interview with me again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm the type of person where I beat it into the ground. If you try to ignore it, I'm gonna bring it back up. If you keep ignoring it, I'm gonna keep bringing it back up till it's addressed or you walk off, and that's why I can't do that. But I've never been the type of person to just make clickbait videos. It doesn't make sense to me. And yes, the excuses are coming back. Like, this is crazy. For fuck's sakes, give Tyson Fury the credit where credit is due. He won the fight. If you believe Deontay Wilder is the best fighter out there, give Tyson Fury what he deserves, whether you like him or not. He beat the best fighter out there. It is what it is. He's number one. Hell, Tyson Fury gives Deontay Wilder more credit than any other fighter. Tyson Fury has remained from the beginning after all the accusations, after beating him the third time, or his second time in the third fight. Fury has said the same thing about Wilder the entire time. He's the second best. Outside of me, nobody can beat Deontay Wilder. Now, I will say this. When Tyson Fury says that, we know Tyson Fury talks a bunch of shit. However, you got to keep in mind that at least two of the top heavyweights right now have all sparred with Tyson Fury. He's been in there with Anthony Joshua. He's been in there with Dillian White. And he's been in there with Deontay Wilder. Now, he could be telling you the truth. He could be saying from what he has experienced with his training camps, with the other fighters, that no fighter outside of Deontay Wilder has ever done what Deontay Wilder did to him. If you look at it, and I know people come here because they don't like Deontay Wilder, and I made some negative videos, so I made some positive videos. But I'm going to say this. At the end of the day, Deontay Wilder losing to Tyson Fury doesn't make Deontay Wilder look bad. If anything, it makes him look better for fighting the best. See, if you look at guys like Muhammad Ali, nobody talks about the losses Muhammad Ali had. Nobody cares about him losing to Leon Spinks when he was way past his prime. We don't think about the losses. We think about the great things he did. We don't think about Joe Frazier beating him the first time they fought. We think about how great he was because of all the great fighters he fought, and he beat those great fighters, but he also lost to great fighters. But we still look at him as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, depending on who you are. So a loss does not define you. What defines you is what you look like in that loss. In my opinion, Klitschko lost to Tyson Fury. Klitschko looked like a fish out of water. He was confused. He didn't know how to fight Fury. People call it boring because Klitschko didn't know how to engage. He didn't know what the fuck to do. Deontay Wilder actually looked better 2 out of the 3 times than Klitschko did. Now, Klitschko didn't get knocked out. Even though Deontay Wilder got knocked out, he still floored Fury 4 times over the 3 fights. Klitschko couldn't even land a punch on Fury. Now, think about that. Think about that. A guy who was technically horrible, knocked Fury down 4 times over 3 fights. And Klitschko, the guy who ruled the division for 10 plus years, 20 smart title defenses, couldn't even touch him. So I'm not here to shit on Deontay Wilder. I thought he looked good. I thought he showed a lot of heart. But what I won't do is support bullshit that takes away from the greatness of Tyson Fury, even though I don't really like Fury. The fact is he didn't cheat. The referee didn't cheat in this 3rd fight. Somebody wants to join. I don't know who this is. Who is Kangaroo Jack? Kangaroo Jack, get on camera and I'll let you on. I want to make sure you're not a troll. I don't know who you are. Let me see. Or type in the chat. Type in the private chat so I know who you are. Let me read the private chat. Hold on. Massive heavyweight fan. All right, guys, I'm going to do this. Hopefully this dude doesn't do anything stupid. Let me read these comments, and then Kangaroo Jack, I'll let you on in just a second. Let me see. Well, I appreciate the fact Water himself doesn't make excuses. This time, no, he hasn't yet. And he hasn't responded to the long count yet, which is good. I don't think he should. Water himself voiced all those excuses about the second fight, naming multiple people as cheats until he apologized for bringing the sport into disrepute. For 18 months solid, he remains a scumbag. And Andrew, it took a while before tapes of Water were released after the second fight. Only when he called the reporter a liar did tapes. Oh yeah. Where he said, or where Water said that he never said that the suit was heavy, and then the reporter released the tape where he did. Let's see what this is.
Hello, mate. Good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good. I'm not one of those trolls. Don't care about that.
All right, cool. So what's going on?
You can't take the risk. But yeah, I'll just listen in for a little bit what you said. That credit to Deontay Wilder on his warrior performance. Didn't give up. Kept coming. Got to give him credit for that. But his behaviour after the match was, in my opinion, disgraceful. But it's all well and good. It's all well and good to have an opinion on things, but a lot of people saying he should retire, and that it's not a big deal losing to the best heavyweight in the world. Like, your career isn't over. Tyson Fury is just better than him, and he can rebuild and come back. So many people have taken punishment worse than Deontay Wilder has his whole career. So it's not over.
Here's what I don't understand about that sentiment, right? That Wilder needs to retire because he's lost twice. But when I look at the flip side of that, right? Wilder's lost twice to the same guy. Okay. It's not like two different people that beat him. It's only one person that's beat him. Now, moving past that. Meanwhile, you have Anthony Joshua, who everybody wants to see in a rematch immediately with Usyk. Usyk is a cruiserweight who just moved up. Nobody's saying that Joshua should retire, even though he has the same amount of losses as Wilder. And in my opinion, his losses are much worse than Deontay Wilder's loss, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Anthony Joshua is a chinless piece of shit. Sorry to say. I hate that he's he's like a protected species in London, in my opinion. But I mean, as I've said for a long time, and I'm all the way in Australia, I've said it for a few years now, maybe 6-7 years, since I was like 15 or whatever. Tyson Fury will retire undefeated heavyweight champion. He's just too good. He's too good.
I will tell you, I've said for years now, for at least the last 2.5, maybe 3 years, that in my opinion has not changed, because I was saying this before and I continue saying it after, and I'm going to name the fighter, that this fighter, Dillian White, will Tyson Fury. I think stylistically it is a nightmare for Tyson Fury, and I don't think styles he matches up good against Dillian White. I think Dillian White beats him. And I've got real world
beats Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I think he beats Tyson Fury. I think he's
dreaming.
I'm telling you, so I don't know how long you've seen my channel. I don't know if this is the first time you've ever seen my channel, but just to
I
give
like
you
Dillian White too, by the way. But
what's that?
I like Dillian White, by the way. So I'm not. But I just think Tyson Fury can fight in different ways against him. Probably won't decide to brawl, but he could easily outbox him because White's very slow. So he easily outbox him off the jab.
It is a possibility, but you got to understand, Dillian White, while he is shorter than Fury, has extremely long arms, and he's got a really good jab too. And Fury can't do to White what he did to Wilder. Fury cannot lean on White. It's not going to work. White is too big, too strong. He can't use those same type of tactics. He would have to fight on the back foot. Now, the thing is, When Wilder attacked Tyson Fury in the trilogy, he started off good. He was doing jabs to the body, looked good, straight to the body. However, when you're fighting a fat man like Fury, you need to use hooks, not straight punches, because that fat is a layer of protection. It's almost like a pillow over the abdomen that you got to punch through. So that fat is absorbing a lot of the impact. Dillian White is not going to throw straight punches at his body. He's going to come with hooks. And that's where fat people fall apart, when they start getting caught on the sides, because they don't have that same type of protection sideways as they do straight on where the muffin is.
Oh, sorry about that. What's that?
Sorry. Your mic's breaking up.
Oh, it's good. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. Hey guys, am I breaking up, or is it just Kangaroo Jack in the chat? Let me know.
Yeah, it's you're breaking up. I can hear your mic on mine.
Okay. All right, hold on. Sometimes, let me take this case off. Whenever I do lives, sometimes this case causes overheat. Hold on. Get off. Just talk for them, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to get my phone.
Yeah,
back.
That's fine. Yeah, as I was saying into the chat, I think I don't know who else would agree in the chat. Tyson Fury has the ability to change up during the fight, and I don't think anyone else in the heavyweight division has more tools in the toolbox than Tyson Fury. Especially over the last 2 years, how Fury's changed up his style. He's become more aggressive as a 6'9" heavyweight. It'll be interesting to see if Dillian White gets the opportunity to fight Tyson Fury, which I think he will. How he goes against Tyson Fury, I'm not sure he will be successful. I actually think that he'll lose in fascinating style, but time will tell on that whole situation. And it'll be also interesting to see how Anthony Joshua does against Usyk as well, because Usyk, this rematch against Usyk is a complete different rematch compared to Andy Ruiz. Let me give you the hot tip. It's not a foregone conclusion, the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to go and get his belts back, because Usyk's a real tricky customer. So, remains to be seen, because if Anthony Joshua loses this rematch, he should probably consider hanging them up, in my opinion. But there you go, fixed it.
Yeah. I sound clear to you because you're clear to me now.
Yeah, perfect. As I was just saying just before that, Tyson Fury against Dillian White, you're definitely right that Dillian White's going to be a tricky customer, because he's awkward as well with those long arms. The thing with Tyson Fury is I believe he can change up the fight during the fight if he is down on the cards or in a brawl. Like he's got that ability, and whether he gives Dillian White the opportunity is another story, because it'd be good to see in the next couple of weeks how this all unfolds, because maybe Anthony Joshua might step aside for Usyk to fight Fury. Potentially, if he doesn't, then Tyson Fury's got no choice but to give Dillian White his opportunity. Like, he's literally got no choice, Tony, literally.
I know. Because by now, I'd imagine that Dillian White has a legal case against the WBC, and he's going to have to get his mandatory shot if he can beat Otto Wallin. Now, that's not a foregone conclusion either, that he can beat Otto Wallin, because Otto Wallin's a very good boxer as well. But assuming he comes out of that, and I'm going to touch on everything you just said that I can hear with the static. So here's what I look at because I've got a long list of predictions that are just mixed throughout all my videos. But basically, with this last fight, how I picked it, and I don't just pick people like you. A lot of channels pick their fighters and they just say this guy's gonna win, right? But they don't give detailed reasons of how the fight's gonna look, why they're gonna win. I do all that. I break it down, and then it's like a crystal ball. Like if you just want to go back and just listen to my last one, I did a playlist for my last two fights. I picked Stick to beat AJ, and I picked Fury to beat Wilder. However, in my Fury Wilder prediction, and I'm gonna get to the point, I kind of on tangents, but I said that if Wilder was gonna win, because I said a part of me was thinking that Wilder was gonna win, but my mind and heart was pulling for Fury, but my soul, really could see Wilder doing it. But I said if he was gonna do it, if he was gonna win, look to the mid rounds to where he's going to hurt Fury, and lo and behold, the fucking fourth round hits the start of the mid rounds and he drops him twice. So if you listen to my last prediction I did, it went right on both fronts and still got the conclusion right. So I'm very meticulous and I break these down, right? So anyways, my overall record is 71-9. Not saying that I'm any better at predicting than you. I'm just saying that backs me up. You know what I mean? How I look at it is this. I look at the way that Dillian White fights, and I look at the styles that Tyson Fury has struggled against. To me, his worst style is short guys. Now, 6'4" is not short. However, for heavyweights nowadays, 6'4" is not tall at all. Most of your guys are 6'5" and above. So Dillian White is on the short side of being heavyweight today. So we've seen with like Steve Cunningham, who I believe is also 6'4", he struggled badly because Steve stayed on top of him like glue and could get underneath him and move, right? We saw the first Chisora fight that, Fury had issues. Now he adapted in the rematch, stopped him. Chisora didn't want to continue to fight, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we have seen instances with guys who have decent movement, who can stay close to Fury, and underneath him, he tends to have more problems with than any other style. Dillian White, what does he do? He stays close to you and he doesn't let you go anywhere. He even though he's slow, he's very good at cutting off the ring.
He throws body shots too. That's one of his fortes.
Yeah, he throws a lot of body shots. A lot.
But yeah, you're definitely right with what you're saying. That and I do the same thing. I like to look at both opponents' ways of winning. And Dillian White, in my opinion, from what I've seen, because I've been to the UK and I watched Dillian White fight and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's a lot bigger than Dillian White, a lot bigger. He's just not as probably muscly, but he's heavier, and I think he can lean on Dillian White personally, but it's dangerous. But he's not going to do it. He's going to look to stay on the outside and outbox. He's not going to be as heavy. That I can tell you, because we know Tyson Fury's heavy, but he's not always as heavy as what he was this Wilder Trilogy fight, was he? He's never been that heavy, ever. He's usually tall, lean, and skinny. And if he comes in looking to outbox somebody, and he actually specifically puts that game plan in place, he can outbox these 6'4" guys. But it's the ones that are 6'3" and a bit skinnier, like Steve Cunningham, that give him trouble until he turns it dirty. See, this is why I think Tyson Fury's the best heavyweight in the last 15 years, because his ability to change up the fight during the fight. He's not going to just let you dominate him, and he's not going to try and change it up like AJ. You know what I mean? AJ didn't have the ability to change it up during the fight. Didn't want to save his belts. He just let them go. Free-handedly, just let the fucking belts go. Fury wouldn't allow that. But, it's this Otto Wallen fight is not a foregone conclusion either, because he's got a lot of experience, a lot of amateur fights. He's not small. He's a little bit taller than Dillian White, not as big, but he's very experienced. Very.
So I disagree with Tyson Fury being bigger than Dillian White. He's taller. It's 6'9". But Fury, like you said, this is the biggest he's been. 271, 277, okay? No, 273, 277. For the rematch, 273. For this fight, 277. pounds. I don't know how that converts over to stones, like 18, 19 stones, I guess. However,
or kilograms for me.
yeah, well, that's 2.5, and then you just divide it. But when you look at Dillian White, he's been as heavy as 266 pounds, and he fluctuates in between 254 to 260. So what I mean is, when you have a six, even if Tyson Fury, let's say, came in at 6'9", 277, right? And let's say Dillian White came in at 260. It's a 17 pounds different that you could call a weight advantage, right? Because 17 pounds is 17 pounds. However, when you think about 17 pounds being stretched out over 5 inches, that tells you that the 260 pound 6'4" man is actually more massive. He's actually bigger. And the difference in Fury is, I've seen Fury touch weights, right? He trains with weights somewhat. I've seen him do deadlifts. And I'm not saying this is bodybuilding, but Dillian White power lifts. He trains with strength. That's what he does. So the advantage to that is, when somebody who doesn't outweigh you by that much leans on you and you're stronger than them, they can't do that because you're too strong for them to lean on you. And there's not enough of a weight advantage for Fury to be able to use his weight against a guy who's stronger and damn near the same weight. So that's why I'm saying that I don't think he can use that advantage, because I actually believe that if it comes into the clinch, you're going to see Fury get mauled. Now you say Fury gets dirty. That's why I like Dillian White, because Dillian White's the type of fighter where if you hit him low, he's going to hit you low twice. If you elbow him, he's going to elbow you 3-4 times. Like, he will get as dirty as you get. I like him for that. That's what I call a dog. Now, you are very correct that Tyson Fury can switch up his style, kind of like Mayweather. He can calculate and he adapts. As the fight goes on, he will become more adaptive and perceptive to what the guy's doing, which he did in the trilogy against Wilder. Wilder had him confused for the first 2 rounds. I would say the first round definitely had him confused, and about 75% of the second round before Fury started honing in on his mode of attack, how he was coming with the jab, coming with the straight. Then he started timing him with the check hook, and he just started to get better and better at timing him with the check hook.
The problem with
No,
Wilder, he's not fundamentally sound. That's the problem. So you can't. I don't really take the whole boxing game out of it.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, I'm agreeing to your point that Fury, as an example in that fight, was adapting to Wilder's style. So he can. My thing is, I think White is going to be able to put enough punishment on him. I don't know who this is. It says Tony Duck. Oh, I see. I see the picture. I see the picture.
What's up, Tony?
What's going on, Ross?
I'm over here. I was over here exercising a little bit and heard y'all going. I saw you on the kind of notification, so I, got on real quick. See what's going. What y'all talking about?
Right. Just various topics. I'm talking about how I believe Dillian White's going to put that work on Tyson Fury at the moment. But I will say this: you are right, though, Jack. Anthony Joshua is not very adaptive. Like, he could not change the way he was fighting against Usyk. Like, he just kept falling for the same traps, doing the same thing, and he just got outclassed because of it. And you're right. Like, this isn't like Ruiz. This is not like we know that Joshua at his best can win the fight, because I don't know if Joshua at his best can beat Usyk. Judging off of what I saw,
I don't either.
You said you don't either?
I just think stylistically, Usyk's a problem for any of the heavyweights in the division, especially the big guys.
He could.
But again, like I think it's completely, as boxing fans, myself, you, and everybody around, I think it's time for us to actually I actually think it's time that we find a way to actually respect Tyson Fury's style and say to ourselves, if you do not knock Tyson Fury out, you are not beating the guy. And he keeps proving everybody wrong, and they want to go, this guy's going to beat him, this guy's going to beat him. But he just keeps answering everybody's questions, and I guarantee you that he will do the same thing with Dillian White. May not knock him out, but 12, I reckon he will outbox him for sure. Because it may be a rough fight, but if Tyson Fury wants to make it go 12 rounds, he can make it go to 12 rounds. And he's very good as the fight goes on. Dillian White is very good as the fight goes on. He's better in the 8th, 9th, and 10th and 12th. He's very good later in the rounds in the fight. But for us to go, Dillian White is going to be more like Dillian White throws body shots and he's going to give problems. We completely underestimate. We completely, in my opinion, disrespect Tyson Fury's skill set. Definitely, because Dillian White's not on the same level.
Okay, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to read this comment right after saying, I don't disrespect Tyson Fury's skill set. I think technically he's the best boxer at heavyweight. I agree with you on Usyk. I think Usyk is all these guys' problems. However, I think Deontay Wilder is the only heavyweight that can beat him at the top. I think he's the only one quick enough to connect, to really hit the meaningful shots to get Usyk out there. And that's the only reason why I edge Wilder against Usyk. I think Usyk's too fast for these other guys, too mobile. And I just don't. I think Wilder, because he's so quick with the explosion, that it would be very difficult for Usyk to get in and do the work that he wants to do. I understand that Wilder is technically flawed. However, he's going to be significantly bigger than Usyk, and Usyk's not going to be able to implement what Tyson Fury did. Tyson Fury used the same skills, but with size. And I believe that Tyson Fury, because a guy that big that can move the way he does, by far he's the most technical boxer at heavyweight. Even putting Usyk in there. Usyk's great, but I don't know if there's ever been a guy as big as Tyson Fury that can move like Tyson Fury does, that we've seen. So I give him all the credit in the world, but again, I have to come back full circle to I just stylistically, I think it's a bad matchup, and I don't think Fury poses a threat to Dillian White. Dillian White's biggest threat is the uppercut. It's the only punch that's ever caused him issues. It happened with him against AJ. That was the beginning of the end with him when he got hit by an uppercut. He got put on his ass by Oscar Rivas by an uppercut, and he was dominating that fight. And we saw Povetkin put him in a dream world in a fight where he had just knocked Povetkin down twice. The uppercut is his biggest fatal flaw, and the problem is Tyson Fury, he doesn't really throw the uppercut unless he's clinching with you, and then he'll kind of slip it in there, but they don't have a lot of impact on him. So I've never seen anything but the uppercut hurt Dillian White, and Tyson Fury doesn't throw the uppercut from range. He just doesn't do it. It's not in his arsenal. So I think it would be a very hard fight for Fury. I don't know. I believe Fury beats AJ for sure. Usyk, I don't know. I would say it's a 60-40 fight in favor of Fury, but I don't know how Fury would handle.
So you're completely you think against Dillian White that it's going to be a brawl, or that's practically what you just said. You think it's going to be he needs to land the uppercut and all that. He doesn't take punches when he's standing up and everything else, like when Dillian White's standing up and all that. So we're completely dismissing the fact that Tyson Fury has the ability to stay on the jab and stay on the outside. Is his head movement quicker than Dillian White? Damn right he is. Is his ring IQ better than Dillian White? 100%. Does he move faster than Dillian White when he's not as fat? 100%. So I think we got to look at it in a perspective of going, how many tools does Tyson have in his toolkit?
So let me respond. Let me respond to that real quick, because before I got on, first of all, before we got on, you said that Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the last 15 years, and I'm like basing that on what? You know, he has one good win versus an old Vladimir Klitschko, which was very boring. He didn't want to give him a rematch because he knew that Vladimir was going to change up his style. Number two, and in that fight, it was nothing but pity pat punches. And then number two, we're basing him being the best welterweight. I mean, I said welterweight, being the best heavyweight today, based off beating a known fighter who everyone knows lacks every single fundamental you could think of in boxing. Number two, Wilder is the only person he's faced and defended his title against. He almost got his ass whooped by Otto Wallen, the cab driver that most casual fans never even heard of. And then number three, let's talk about this masterclass performance. And I talked about this in my past video. As much as we want to call this fight great and Fury did great, Fury looked sloppy as hell in that fight. And I'm still trying to figure out, did I miss anything? Besides the round where Fury dropped him and there was a round where Fury landed like 6 or 7 jabs in a row. Other than that, he was all over the place. He was sloppy. He was fighting just like Vladimir Klitschko. People complain about Vladimir Klitschko's style, and here we have Fury doing the exact same thing. Number two, he got dropped by someone, and y'all know, I know Tony will know, Wilder is probably done. After that first fight, you're never the same after a beating like that. And he managed to drop Fury not only once, but twice. Not only once, but twice. I'm sorry. To be the last best heavyweight in the last 15 years, based on what? He hasn't fought AJ. He hasn't fought Usyk. He hasn't fought Parker. He hasn't fought Dillian White. I mean, there's so many heavyweights in his fight, and we're basing him being the best off only fighting Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder.
I'll reply to that.
Let's be real.
I'll reply to that. I believe if he goes and I want him to fight all these guys, but for my opinion, he's the best heavyweight in the last 15 years when it comes to sweet science and the ability to outbox somebody. And I'll also add to that, he has the potential at this second, right? Let's get this straight. He beat Klitschko, which nobody did. He was the first one to beat him in 8-9 years or whatever it was. But you can only go with what heavyweights around.
How many years? Say it again. How many years?
I think it was 8-9 years or whatever.
I thought it
9 years it took for someone to finally beat him. 9 years.
But let me finish. So he won all the titles, won all of them except for the WBC, but he won the Ring magazine as well. Then he went away. And obviously the titles went to someone else. He come back, and then he beat a guy that's made 10 title defenses and held the WBC for 8-9 years.
Right. Against who?
Brilliant job did a brilliant job in the draw. Then won the WBC and the Ring magazine for the second time. And he now has a potential to win all those belts back again. Now that it will be a ridiculous achievement if he goes and gets those belts that Usyk has, and you're telling me that he's not the best in the last 10, 15 years, then I don't know what is, because he's just won all the belts twice.
Yes, but he has to do it first. You understand?
Oh, yeah. And do you think the odds are against him? Would you bet against it?
I picked Usyk to beat AJ easy, and yes, I think Usyk could beat Fury.
I think Usyk can beat Fury as well, but I like Usyk. I like his style.
Be boring. I actually think that fight's going to be boring.
So I'm gonna say
because it's going to be a chess match.
Fury, listen. Fury shouldn't have never gotten dropped by Wilder. Let me put it that way.
I disagree, because Wilder is very quick with his attacks. He is extremely quick. He is very linear and basic. But when he comes to that linear line, he does. It flows like a track runner. Now I'm gonna say this.
That shot wasn't quick though.
Let me say this. When it comes to Tyson Fury, okay, you got to keep in mind. He also beat Derek Chisora twice. Okay, now that's the same Chisora who was much younger, much better, much more at his peak. That, truth be told, just beat the shit out of Joseph Parker and got robbed. The same guy that you just mentioned that you wanted to see Fury in, Chisora whooped him, in my opinion, with ease. and that was the old Chisora that Parker lost to. He should have never won the fight. He got robbed. Like he
But how
won
good is
that fight. Now hold on,
how
Ross.
good is Parker?
Now listen to this. I don't have to see somebody race on a track, right? I can see a person running in the backyard and see how fast they run it. I can be like, damn, I know he would beat this person if he raced him. I can watch what Tyson Fury does in the ring, and I can watch the other guys, what they do, and Fury is just on another level. Like he just told you, Vladimir dominated. He cleaned out the division. That's why they gave him the Leo title, because he beat everybody there was to beat at the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury got in there with him, whether they had the rematch or not. When Tyson Fury got in there with him, he made Klitschko look like he had never been in a fight before. He embarrassed him. Klitschko literally did nothing. Nothing. Now,
But what did Fury do?
What?
What did Fury do? Because I know you didn't find that fight exciting. So what did Fury do?
Doesn't have to be exciting.
That is an absolute crazy. Sorry, man. That is an absolute crazy statement. How many interesting fights has Floyd been in? Hang on. Sorry. How many interesting fights has Floyd been in where he's brother?
You're asking the wrong person about Floyd.
So what I'm saying, no, hang on. What I'm saying, right? I'm just making an example. We say it was a boring fight, and I agree it was. But Fury outboxed him. And it doesn't matter how you outbox somebody, he made it awkwardly and he just outboxed him. It was very awkward. Now, we've seen so many fighters that are defensively ridiculously good, which Tyson Fury is when he wants to be. He's there to be hit, but he was defensively better and he was defensively ridiculously good against Klitschko. And he made it awkward. And for me, that's a sweet science way of being. That's a sweet science of boxing. He made it awkward for Klitschko. And for us to say it's boring, it's undermining the achievement. And I just think it's crazy to do that.
So we look at things different, right? We look at things different. So for me, outboxing is somebody like Pernell Whitaker, where you also landing meaningful shots. That makes me know that you're winning, not pity pat shots. But yeah, he did win. But
he won easily though.
It was a 6'9" pity pat style of fighting. And then, like I said, when he went in there against Otto Wallin, he was getting his ass beat. So I don't see the connection with him.
No, that is bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. If he didn't get cut, he won that fight very easily. Because I know the sweet science of boxing. Yeah, exactly. Fury was dominating him, but because there was a cut, it's a big thing. TV, no one understands it. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I understand. He shouldn't have got cut.
No, but what I'm saying though, if he didn't get the cut, did Fury win unanimously on the scorecards?
I mean, he got the cut. I can't really answer. He got the cut.
So
it's not.
So the cut made it close. Otto Wallin nearly won.
Do you think? Because they was about to stop the fight. Do you think Vitaly Klitschko was going to continue to beat Lennox Lewis after 6 more rounds?
Knocked his ass out if that fight would have continued. Vitaly was on his way to knocking Lennox the fuck out, and they stayed.
Right. Yeah, sure. 6 more rounds. The heaviest. 6 more rounds for one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight history.
Look.
Yeah, well, too bad they stopped it, but we'll never know.
You cannot sit on here right now and big up Lennox Lewis, but at the same time, shit on Klitschko, in turn, shit on Tyson Fury for the way that they fight when that shit started with Lennox Lewis and Emmanuel Stewart. Jab, jab, grab, jab, jab, grab, jab, jab, right, grab, jab, jab, grab. That's Lennox Lewis's bread and butter whenever he got with Emmanuel Stewart. That's all he was holding in.
But Tony, what was Lennox Lewis doing to the fighter?
What
was Lennox Lewis doing to most of those fighters?
He got him out of there.
He was taking him out of there.
Right, but what happened when Lennox Lewis fought Frank Bruno for the first time?
Okay.
He got knocked the fuck out. What happened when he fought?
Not by Frank Bruno. He didn't get knocked out by Frank Bruno.
Ross, hold on, Ross, hold on. What happened when Lennox Lewis fought a B, if not C level Rockman?
Yeah, okay, and he got knocked out.
Right. So here's the thing: Tyson Fury ain't never been knocked out by nobody that bad.
Lennox Lewis beat everybody he fought, Tony.
He had to come back in the rematches and win, but he didn't
But
beat
he
him the
beat
first
everybody
time.
he fought.
He
But he beat everybody he
won
fought.
the rematches. Here's the difference: who has knocked out Tyson Fury?
Well, he got to fight everybody. He's not fighting everybody. His
Hey.
only
No,
title defense was versus Wilder. Why is everybody sucking his dick? His only title defense was Wilder.
What I'm saying is Asim Rockman is much worse than probably 60% of the people that Fury has fought, and he didn't get knocked out by any of them.
Yeah, it's boxing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and I'll add to it.
Lewis, who got knocked out by a subpar fighter. That's never.
I'll add to it as well.
I bet you don't have Tyson Fury beating Lennox Lewis.
Oh yeah.
But what this is this is all make believe. What if this is all make believe? What if? What if? Like what? Hang on. What if you're not like?
Wait, Jack. Let me say this real fast. No. But Ross Clark. Who did Lennox Lewis really beat in their prime? Who did he really beat in their prime? His biggest wins were against guys who were way past it.
To you guys, if that's how you feel, David Tua was in his prime.
How many belts did David Tua win?
Vitaly was in his prime, and actually Lennox Lewis was past the prime.
Vitaly was beating the brakes off of him.
But he won.
Yeah, by a doctor stoppage.
Just like Wally lost, right? But he won.
No. See, here's the thing, Ross Clyde. Vitaly was beating the fuck out of him, and they came in to save him.
I think you guys are missing my point. I know that Tyson Fury is skilled. I know that he's probably one of the better boxers in this garbage era of heavyweight. But I'm sorry, his best win, besides old ass Vladimir, is against a guy who we all know and can admit that is the most limited heavyweight fighter to date, besides the right hand.
Yeah. Just real quickly, bud. Let's not yell here. Let's keep this really.
I'm always loud.
I'll just add to this. Before Deontay Wilder fought Fury, a lot of Americans that I spoke to about Deontay Wilder thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. Now that Fury's shown that. No. I'm not messing around with this. Like, I specifically fucking heard so many Americans on YouTube say that Deontay Wilder would have absolutely smashed Tyson Fury, but when Tyson Fury quickly identified that he's a shit boxer, right? Now everybody's saying he's fundamentally not good, but Fury is not that good because he's not, and all that. Remember, he made 10 title defenses. Hang on, he made 10 title defenses against pretty good heavyweights. Not. There was some good heavyweights in there. They're not all crap, right? 10 of them. You telling me some of those fighters would beat Tyson Fury?
Countgate was a good fighter that Wilder knocked out. Juhapas, Dominic Brazil,
Luis
13, who's older than my father. Come on, man. Come on.
And I'll also add as well, bro. I'll also add real quickly, Tyson Fury, we got to understand one thing. As a champion, you don't slip up against lower opposition. And he doesn't slip up. Anthony Joshua's slipping up. Deontay Wilder's lost 3 times, in my opinion. Yeah, me neither. I think he's a piece of shit. But what I'm saying is he's not slipping up. He's not losing to lesser opponents that are stepping up and taking the opportunity. He's getting the job done. He finds a way to get the job done. And you can only make do with the heavyweights you got in this era. I agree. He hasn't fought the Joseph Parkers, the Dillian Whites. He hasn't fought any of these guys. And I hope he does because they're all top contenders, right? And when he does and he beats them all, you hail down and you drop and you call him Sir Tyson Fury.
I disagree with you saying AJ's a piece of shit. I don't know how AJ is a piece of shit.
No. Listen, this is an honest question. This is my honest question. And I know Muhammad Ali did it, but don't use him because Muhammad Ali got his ass whooped when he tried to do it. He eventually did it, but he didn't do it at first. What heavyweight boxer in the history of boxing has left boxing for 3 years in their prime years, come back to win the title in their first fight for the title?
Okay, Tony. You can't ask this type of question because it's
I'm just saying he's the only one that's ever done it.
Tony. You gotta go with competition, and I know you bullshitting right now because when
that is bullshit.
When Muhammad Ali came back from his 3-year layoff, he didn't come back and fought no. Jerry Corey and Oscar Bonavena are good in that era. So you can't say that.
But
when
what happened when he fought Joe Frazier?
And he fought Wilder.
What? No, but what I'm saying is, what happened to Muhammad Ali when he fought Joe Frazier?
You can't. You know what? Honestly, I'm the wrong person to ask that type of question because I will never compare this weak ass era.
No, that is, dude, that is completely. That's completely. Do you know what, bud? That's completely. That is completely undermining the heavyweights today.
I am not trying to compare the eras. What I'm saying is Muhammad Ali was fighting the best of his era. You could argue that his era was better, right? That's cool. But here's the problem.
How can we say they're better? I don't understand.
Wait, no, let me finish. Ross Clyde, you got to understand. Everything is relative. It's all relative. So if today's era is weaker, right? That means Tyson Fury is weaker. That means Deontay Wilder is weaker. So the scales balance out. You have a weaker area, but everybody's weaker. So that means that the challenge that Tyson Fury faced today was the same challenge that Muhammad Ali fought in a harder era because he's softer in a soft era, so it all levels out. The difference here is Tyson Fury won and got the titles.
Okay. So
that's all I'm saying.
So fantasy fights and all that's a whole separate conversation.
Get rid of the fantasy fights. Where are we coming up with this fantasy shit? Let's make believe that we can't compare. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, we can't sit here and talk about past heavyweights and this era compared to that era. We got this era. I think it's unfair, completely unfair to say this era is not as good as that era, right? Tyson Fury's obviously won all the belts. Anthony Joshua's won all the belts. Usyk's won all the belts. We've got great Dillian White. We've got Frank Chavez coming up. We've got Derek Chisora in this heavyweight division. We've got so many heavyweights. We can't just go, they were better than this era. Because let's be honest, those heavyweights back then were so much smaller than the heavyweights. It's a complete different setting. It's a unique heavyweight division now compared to what was then. And it's like saying your auntie's my uncle if your brother was my sister. It's a complete make-believe bullshit, like pound for pound. It's all bullshit. Like, it's...
For you it is.
I don't know. No, there's no disputing the fact that guys nowadays are way bigger than they were back then.
Hold on. Let me debunk this whole big shit. Because every time we do a stupid fucking comparison between the past and the fucking present. If the fucking fighters today was in the era from back in the days, they wouldn't be this fucking big that they are now because they don't have the fucking steroids in the food. They don't have the PEDs that they have today, and they don't have the same fucking training.
Yeah, they do. What are you talking about? Ross Clyde. They didn't start, hold on. They did not start testing for PEDs in boxing until like the 90s. Like, steroids has been around since the 50s.
I know when steroids been around. I'm just saying this whole, but they're bigger now. They would have been bigger now. The fact is that no one wants to fucking admit is that Wilder, as Fury, beat a guy that we all fucking know is limited. Everybody here is giving him a goddamn hand job for it.
Let me ask you this, Ross Clyde. Let me ask you this. Because I've always said that I thought Anthony Joshua could beat Wilder. However, here's my question for you.
They're both damn good.
Listen to what I'm about to say. The Deontay Wilder that showed up in that trilogy fight, do you honestly believe Anthony Joshua could have beat him?
Anthony Joshua's not the same guy no more. Probably not. He's not the same guy. He's lost. Listen, physically, Wilder is done with. Mentally, AJ is done with. Those two fighting each other, it don't even matter who out of those two. because neither one of them isn't at their best anymore. If you put Fury in there with AJ, he's gonna beat the shit out of AJ because
Yes,
AJ is the guy he used to be.
I agree with you. Fury is going to beat the shit out of AJ if he fights him. Like, it's going to be. This is my thing. I agree with you. Deontay Wilder is limited. I agree, but here's the problem. What he is limited in, he does very well. He is a very good one-trick pony. That one trick that he has is a very good fucking trick. And at the end of the day, whether Wilder is defeated physically or not, he was already defeated going into the trilogy. So I have to base it off his last fight with Fury. Now, as far as AJ being broken mentally, I don't think AJ looked anywhere near as good fighting Tyson Fury as Deontay Wilder just did. I think it's going to be a one-sided, unbalanced ass whooping between the two of them. I don't even think AJ stands a chance. And the thing is, because I've been very critical over Wilder in his technical ability. However, you have to come back to the fact that if Fury runs through all these other heavyweights, right? And Wilder is the only one that made this dude look bad, then he's got to be a lot better than we're giving him credit for.
I mean, hey, listen, Esteban de Jesus, who wasn't that great, made Roberto Duran look super bad. No one talked about Esteban de Jesus all like that because he wasn't shit at the lightweight. I disagree with that.
He wasn't an undefeated knockout artist like Wilder was too before that. It's not like that this is the only fight Wilder has ever fought. He was undefeated before he fought Fury. Yes, I agree. Did he get in there with the best of competition? No, he didn't. But he was still undefeated, had knocked out everybody he fought. The only knockout that he had that he did not have on his record was against Stavern, and he came back to knock him out. Now, so he knocked out every single. No, hold on. So he's knocked out every single person he's ever fought, but Fury. Now, again, whether it was the best of competition or not is irrelevant. The fact is, he was an undefeated fighter, knocked out everybody he's ever fought. If Fury goes through, my point is this: if Fury goes through and runs through everybody with ease, and Wilder is the only one that looks as good, then it is clear as day if Wilder was to retire today, he was a lot better than we gave him credit for. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, for you, if that's how you feel, I gotta respect. For me, it's the opposite. And like I said, I think you guys missed my whole point. I know that Fury is probably the best heavyweight today. I know this. It's just for me. He beat a guy, in my opinion, that was super limited in a lot of those fights. He Duhaupas and Gerald Washington, you know, the right hand saved him. And versus Fury, the right hand just couldn't save him. So it is what it is.
I will say this though. You know, you can only do with what you face, and that's what Deontay Wilder did. He's had a lot of fights in America. He's an American heavyweight, one of the best for a long time when it comes to stats and statistics and all this sort of crap. Knocking out anybody that gets hit like Tyson Fury has against Wilder is knocked out, gone, and it's proven. He's proven it. Anyone that Deontay Wilder touches with that right hand stays down and don't get up, right? Let me give you and we've all seen it, right? So Fury took the punches. Now he has a potential here. This is why I'm talking about it, and it's a good thing to talk about because we're all big boxing fans, and I love it, right? If Fury goes on to beat everybody and wins all those titles Usyk has, that means he's won them twice in the Ring Magazine twice and defends his WBC. He for me goes into the top 10 best ever. For me, if he beats every heavyweight, 4 heavyweights he needs to beat right now. AJ, Usyk, Dillian White, and Joe Joyce. He beats all of them, he goes straight in.
So I think I would remove AJ if AJ loses to Usyk. I think he becomes a non-factor. I think Fury could completely ignore him, beat Usyk, take a real easy fight for him, beat Andy Ruiz Jr., and he doesn't even have to fight AJ.
He'll beat the shit out of Andy Ruiz.
He'll beat the
Wilder
living
would,
out of him.
yeah, Fury would fight with him. He's too fucking weak.
Now, I'm gonna be honest. If I was Fury, I wouldn't even fight AJ. If AJ loses to Usyk, I would not even fight him. I wouldn't even risk it because there's no point. I would just beat the dude who beat him. I'd go straight for Andy Ruiz and just beat his ass. And then
I feel the same way. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. After, like I said, after that Ruiz loss, I think mentally that fucked AJ up. And he's just not there mentally. And even if he was there mentally, I still think Usyk was going to beat him. But just in general, you could tell even when he was fighting Pulev, he's gun shy.
Well, with his style, with his boxing style, is Anthony Joshua too robotic, like a PlayStation? Like he's too tight. He's too like I just think to myself when you watch him, he's like. Is he even fucking moving? What is going on?
My problem.
For sure, Kangaroo. For real.
I agree with you, Jay. Anthony Joshua is robotic and slow no matter what his weight is. I think the biggest mistake they ever made was making him get smaller. Taking off all that weight, taking off all that power. Because I'm saying that before the Usyk fight, I said it when I saw the second Ruiz fight. I said it when I saw the Pulev fight. And I stand by it after seeing the Usyk fight. Ever since he lost the weight, he lost his power. You don't see the same type of punches that he used to throw. And that's why I knew a guy with a granite chin like Usyk that I've never even seen fucking hurt was going to walk. He was just going to absorb it and beat him up. And he's too small. The only way AJ, now if he's mentally broken, there's nothing you can do. But the only way I see him getting back to what he once was he's got to at least get back up around 250, hit them weights like he was, do whatever the fuck he was doing before. He needs to do it again. Because my thing is this. What little bit of speed he gained, what little bit of mobility he gained does not outweigh how much fucking power he's lost. So if your gains are less than your losses, why the fuck would you try to gain when you should just keep what you had? You're at a deficit now, and that's where he's at.
That's a fact.
I'd suggest that he turns. Personally, I'd suggest. See, what I didn't understand, and I feel sorry for AJ, even though I don't like him. I just don't like that he's protected by Eddie Hearn. But what I don't understand, how does he? Let me finish. How does the corner allow him to just give up his belts like that? You're getting some, and not, they gave Anthony Joshua 5 rounds, 6-7 rounds. I couldn't believe it. You could arguably say that Usyk won every single round, literally.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. But to AJ's defense, that's not his fault that those judges did. And number two, I wouldn't say that he's protected. I mean, if you technically, AJ has the best resume out of all the heavyweights, so I wouldn't never say he's protected.
If you go by strength, if you go by strength of competition, AJ would be number 1, Dillian White would be number 2.
Yep.
I
mean, but
definitely.
But the problem is here's the problem with Anthony Joshua, okay? If he would have never lost to Ruiz and he only lost to Usyk, then there could be an argument made that it's just Usyk is that great. You know what I mean? It's just that good of a cruiserweight. However, now when you compile these 2 losses, it really diminishes a lot of what AJ's done, because now you have to really question how good is this dude really? If he was supposed to be the man of the heavyweight division, how the fuck did he get his ass whooped by a cruiserweight for, like what you said, you believe every single round? How does the guy allow that to happen?
I'll answer that. Oh, Kangaroo, let me answer that real quick and then you jump on. I'll answer that. It's just like AJ. I mean, if you're Wilder, right? If you get a lot of AJ's fights, a lot of those fights, he was getting hurt and fucking dropped and stunned and all kind of shit. Then his strength and his power kicked in. Same thing with Wilder. It's just unfortunate against he with the circumstances with the Ruiz fighting, switching training camps and all these little different things that was going on. A little bit of underestimating them, and and then losing, and then coming back. Okay, he outboxed Ruiz, great, whatever. But like you said, he lost that weight. You could tell he's not the same. He's gun shy. It's the same thing. I don't think it would diminish anything because, like I said, it's just like Wilder. Wilder, was getting beat up in a lot of those fights, and he came through with the knockout. So, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, for me, like I said, I'm sorry, but I'm just a bit of a Wilder. I'm not really a Wilder fan, so you guys can kind of tell. But it's just me. I think they are like the true strongest and powerful heavyweights. But it is what it is. Usyk probably got his number, and Fury got Wilder's number. So, like I said, now it's after Usyk beats AJ, and he is going to beat him again, possibly stop him. I want to see Fury and AJ fight. I mean, Fury and Usyk fight. I have Usyk beating him.
Yeah, I want to see undisputed. I agree with you, and I don't think we're gonna make. I don't think Fury's gonna make it undisputed because, like I said, if he is forcing to fight Dillian White, I think Dillian White beats him. I think stylistically, it's a nightmare. And I mean, I don't know how long I've been saying this, Ross. I've always believed that Dillian White can beat Tyson Fury. I believe he's the only one that can beat him. Because styles.
Tony, I'm on video saying the same thing, but after the loss to Povetkin and then coming back and beating him, and then the way Fury, you know what? Honestly, he probably can. I mean, like I said, we don't know how much that fight took out of Fury either. So I don't know. We'll see. You could be right.
Yeah, if Fury's punch resistant has dropped, diminished because of that the wars that he's had with Wilder, it's going to be very bad for a hard hitter like White.
Yep. Like I said, in my opinion, he should have never got dropped by Wilder. Wilder took a beating in that first fight. So I don't know. What you got to say, Kangaroo?
Oh no, yeah, homeboy left. You know what? You made good points. I thought something very similar. So, over the past call it 4 years? How long did this trilogy take? Between Fury and Wilder.
2 years. 2 years.
3.
3 years.
About 3 years. So let's just say over the course of 3 years, Fury's really been training for. I mean, he took the tune-up, but Fury's primarily been training for a guy like Wilder, who doesn't have like a skill set that obviously gives anybody problems. So I'm wondering, did that training in that amount of time maybe diminish some of what Tyson Fury had? So I think Dillian White. I agree. I think Dillian White does pose an interesting matchup because they've been staying busy against fighters who can box. Fury's been staying busy against a guy who he had really trained one thing for to avoid that right hand and figure him out,
Yeah, I see that, but the other part that I have, my biggest issue with Tyson Fury is I believe, and I could be wrong. I don't have any evidence other than what I have seen in the shape that I have seen Fury in between fights and knowing his history. I think Tyson Fury is a part-time fighter. I think he only trains, he only gets in shape, he only does what he's supposed to do when it's time to fight. He has that training camp to get in shape, and I think that's why he's looking worse. And I think as he gets older, like he is going to catch up, and he's going to lose because you can't be a part-time fighter at the elite level for any long time.
No, you ain't wrong on that. I mean, Tyson Fury said it himself, too. He really only does boxing just to kind of keep himself sane. You know what I mean? Other than that, if he's not boxing, if he's not training, he's kind of going off the track.
Yeah. And like Tony said, like Tony said, stylistically, the way he fought Wilder, I don't think he's going to do that to Dillian White. Because Dillian White physically is stronger than Wilder, and I know that in the clinch, White is going to give him problems in the clinch. So,
no, you're not wrong on that.
It's a good fight, though. I still have Fury. I'm edging Fury still.
Dillian White's a big dude, man.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
a heavy ass dude. He's a big boy. He ain't as tall as
Yeah,
Wilder, but he's a big, burly boy.
yeah, he's 6'4" and he weighs in between like 254 to 260 on a regular.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering, I mean, will Tyson Fury go back to jabbing, keep him at bay? You know what I mean? Who knows?
I would have to look up their reach because I know Dillian White's got incredibly long arms, so I don't know what type of advantage he has at jabbing. Like White might not be that much shorter than him when you equivalate their arm length.
You know, not to go off topic, but real quickly, a matchup that, I mean, people are kind of looking over, but we already know someone's head's coming off, is Romero and Tank Davis. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
boxer. What is
that's
he
a good
supposed to say?
fight.
You know what I mean? But Romero, I mean, yeah, Rolly was on that post-fight, you know, with Fury and Wilder. He was coming out saying, like, I'm going to knock his ass out. I'm bigger than him. Like, he's a nobody. Like, I like that confidence. I mean, obviously, chances are, you know what I mean? We know the outcome. But, I mean, damn, like, what if? You know, what if? Because Romero, I mean, if you've seen him fight, you know, the dude has a very strange way of fight. And I can't stand hearing him fight either. It sounds like Eric Cartman. But, and yeah, if you hear him, man, he sounds like an angry Eric Cartman. But, man, like, you know, you've seen Tank rocked a couple times. Like, he hasn't really been tested yet. Santa Cruz gave him a little bit of a buzz there. Fucking Gamboa gave him a little bit of a buzz there too. I don't think Mario Barrios did too much like to hurt him, but I mean, if Romero caught him, I mean, you never know, dude. Romero's fucking crazy. He fights like a psycho.
The thing about Romero, when he gets hit,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
he gets hit. That's what I'm afraid of going against Tank Davis.
Yeah, he's. It's like I said, someone's head's coming off, and we already know it's more than likely
Yeah,
Romero.
that's a good fight.
But man,
I think up is good. Jojo Diaz. I think that's a good fight.
man, JoJo with Farmer, that was a badass fight. If it wasn't for that cut, I
Yeah,
think JoJo would have.
it's a good fight.
Yeah, I think JoJo would have. Like, there'd been no question on it. You know, people want to complain about the decision, but I mean, he had a
Yep,
nasty cut the entire fight. Like, took
that was
all of
nasty.
his. Yeah, it was gross. But yeah, JoJo flies under the radar too. And him and Ryan Garcia, I mean, you never know. That's another fight where Garcia more than likely on paper is coming out as the favorite. But he's a bad boy too.
I think
I
I'm gonna
think
be honest
Garcia.
because I've been
Go
saying
ahead,
this
Tony.
for a long time. I've been saying this for a long time. I don't think any of them can beat Ryan Garcia. I think he is better than every single person in lightweight. I think he beat all.
Right,
Like people hate him because
low
he's
key, he
capped for
probably
days.
is.
But if you like Ryan capped for days, like he said he's gonna fight this person, never does, whatever. But at the end of the day, I look at his ability, his talent, and his speed and his hooks, that left hook, and his power. I don't think them guys can take it. I think he beats them all.
Yeah, he's fast, and he has a good chin, Tony.
Yeah.
He's battle tested. Ryan Garcia is battle tested
He's
too.
battle tested. Yep, he's battle tested.
And
Well,
people want
Luke
to.
Campbell,
But yo, I don't. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was one of the Garcia haters when he was coming up on Instagram. Look at this pretty boy and blah blah blah. And I didn't care for his looks, but I got tired of hearing about he thinks he's all this and that. So when I heard about the first fight going up against Duno, they were like, yeah, this guy Duno is the next, Manny Pacquiao. He's gonna knock out Ryan, and this is finally gonna be a fight where he gets his ass kicked. And I was like, oh shit, okay, let's check this out. I mean, Ryan Garcia pieces him up. So then people were saying, man,
Yeah,
Duno was overrated. Duno wasn't even all that. And I was like,
yeah,
wait a minute, dude, I'm new to this. I'm new to this fighter. What were y'all just saying about Garcia getting his ass beat? So then he goes to Luke Campbell. Everyone's just like, dude, this is over. Who's here, from the future saying after that? Who's here from the future after
right.
Campbell beats his ass and blah, blah, blah. So then, I mean, there was tons and tons of people saying Garcia's finally going to get his ass beat. Luke Campbell should wear that gold medal and blah, 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 blah. And then Garcia goes and TKOs his ass with a body shot. And then it's, oh, man, Campbell wasn't even all that. Who did he fight? He lost to Loma. And I'm like, man, keep it consistent. Come on.
But that's how boxing is, though. Boxing will always say somebody's going to get their ass whooped. This person's going to beat them. The minute they were all proven wrong, they're like, oh, that guy wasn't anything. But it's like, wait a minute. You were just boosting up this dude that got his ass whooped. You were just saying he was the next best thing.
Right.
But because your guy lost. Now he's not shit. Like, shut the fuck up. But
Luke Campbell,
but
Luke
before
Campbell's a
Campbell,
better opponent than
hold on,
Campbell.
Rosscliffe. Before Campbell, people was talking about how Fonseca was going to beat Ryan Garcia because even though he was
Remember that?
way more experienced, he been
I
title
remember that.
fight, got his ass slumped.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
beat up. That's the
Yep.
fact.
And then no, that's true.
Fact.
And then they were saying too, oh well, Tank already knocked him out, so that was just Tank's leftovers. And I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong, Tank after the Barrios fight, I was like, okay, this dude Tank's like he's the real deal for sure. There ain't no doubting him anymore. The
Yeah.
fight to make it that weight for sure, Garcia and Tank.
You know what too, Anthony? Anthony G, is that you, right?
Yeah.
You know what too? Ryan ain't a little dude either. He's a big boy.
Nah, he's like 5. Dude, have you seen him training next to Canelo? He's like 2-3 inches taller than him. Either Canelo's shorter
Yeah.
than
That's
what
what
they're
I'm
billing at,
saying.
or Garcia's
Big
taller than
dude.
what they're billing at.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he's like, you gotta understand, Barrios gave Tank a lot of issues early. It was the height, the reach, and the jab, right? Well, Mario Barrios didn't start at 140. He started at 122 pounds. So he's actually naturally smaller than Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan is the same height,
Mm.
got same reach, but he's bigger. He's just a bigger guy. He might not fight at 140 yet, but he's naturally bigger because he never fought at 122. He
Right.
only did 135.
And you know what? People also underestimate Garcia's power. Obviously, Tank's like, oh, he's Tank. He's knocked out almost everybody. I think only, off the top of my head, only 3 people went the distance with Ryan out of all his fights. I think only 3 have. So, I mean, why are we sleeping on his power, too?
Yeah. Because people pick and choose what they like. That's all
And
it
then, not to
is.
mention, he has a variety of ways he's knocked people out. He TKO'd an Olympic gold medalist. You know
To the
what I mean?
body. Yeah.
Right. He TKO'd an Olympic gold medalist. It wasn't like a multi-knockdown thing. It was he hit him with that shot, and that was it. There
Well,
was
and
no like, all right, let me get up and recover.
the thing about that fight too is before that fight, nobody had stopped him. Yeah, he lost on the scorecards. Luke Campbell actually made Lomachenko look bad at times.
He did.
No, he did. He gave him that was a good fight. That was a dope fight.
Lomachenko's the truth though.
Oh, Loma's a bad dude. That's never gonna
Bad
be.
boy.
Yeah,
I,
no one's gonna deny that.
I still want the T.O. match. I don't think T.O. beat him.
Theo don't want that. Theo don't want it.
Don't
Man, you
want
know
it.
what? Tio's been inactive at this point the longest, right? Dude, it's been
Yep.
since what,
Yep.
like last year? Come on, now you need to do
Glad
something.
you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
I think
Because I mean, he's young, but shouldn't right now be the time where like the young prime dudes coming up into their prime be like the most active? He kind of did the opposite, which concerns me. He's staying fit, he's staying busy, but I just thought, like, man, dude, you've been gone for a little bit, man. It's been a minute.
I like I said, I think he's scared of Kambosos. Every fight that Teofimo Lopez has gone into, including Lomachenko, he's always had that intimidation over the guys. They've always seemed
You're
scared.
100% right. Yes.
When Loma met him, Loma was talking about he's so big, his arms are so big, like big up in this dude who he's about to fight. George Kambosos looks at him and be like, bro, you ain't shit. I'm about to beat your ass. I don't think Tio knows how to deal with it.
I noticed that it was one of their first confrontations. I forgot on what, I think it was like a Triller undercard or something. They were just randomly together, like 5 feet apart, just running their mouths at each other. And then Kambosos clowned him too, talking about like his outfit and shit. I mean, it's just trash talk. But I was like, yo, this dude Kambosos is actually funny. He's actually getting under his skin. And I think, no, for sure. I think Tio knows what it is. I like Tio. Don't get me wrong. He's badass. I love watching him fight. But man, Kambosos,
You know what
that dude.
You know what I'm afraid of? After the Loma fight, it looked like Tio's style is going to be that boxer puncher type thing going on. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to fight like he was before the Loma fight.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Loma was whooping his ass in the later rounds.
Yeah, Loma got to him, man. It was concerning at one point when you were like, "Oh shit, what the hell's going on?"
But,
yep.
But that's the thing with Tio. Tio's got a lot of power. He's very reactive. He's very good at the counter punching. Very quick, but he has no defense. Like he gets hit left and right. Like, did you see how bad Nakatani fucked him up? Like, he was beat
Oh yeah,
up.
Nakatani. Yeah,
Japanese
Nakatani
samurai
was
right
fucking
there,
him
man.
up.
Like,
It was night and day. It was night and day when Loma fought him.
yeah,
Yeah.
Loma, like outclassed Nakatani. It wasn't even competitive.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Nakatani's
that's
a
why
bad
he don't
dude
want to
too.
give him that rematch.
But
You know,
you know what?
at first, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say at first I kind of believe the narrative about you know, oh well, he didn't want to give me the rematch clause in there, so screw him. You know what I mean? He's disrespectful. I was like, okay, I can see that. But after a
Yeah.
while, I'm like, yo, are you gonna fight? You can give Loma the rematch in the meantime. Like, you got a lot of options, man. You're the king, like you said. Like,
As a
I
fighter,
just want to see you
yeah,
in the ring. What's going on?
yeah, that's true. As a fighter, it's like, okay, you know, I made you wait. Come on, let's do it now. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then, not to mention too, like Tio's always clowning Devin Haney for, man, you're a slave to the WBC, and man, they're clowning you, and they're doing this and this and that. And I'm like, dude, Trilla's making you look stupid now.
I just
Like, you
want to
got
see
on Devin Haney's case for a while.
I want to see somebody fight Devin Haney. That's all I want to see. I want to see somebody. It's like who we were talking about, JoJo Diaz and Ryan Garcia. This shit don't make no fucking sense. JoJo Diaz is Devin Haney's mandatory. Ryan Garcia is also Devin Haney's mandatory. So both these guys can fight Devin Haney for the WBC title. However, they're like, nah, let's just mandatories fight each other. Like, why are y'all both fighting for mandatory? Mandatory. It don't make no fucking sense.
WBC is like its own thing, man. I don't know. They're in their own world with that.
Yeah.
They
Can I
make things
say?
up as they go.
Can I say one thing about Haney is I know that he's a skilled fighter, man, but the dude is freaking boring, man. Like
Oh man, no doubt.
fight
Gamboa.
against Jesus Christ with Gamboa. Holy shit.
Yeah, and they're like, oh well, it's a shutout. I mean, don't get me wrong, like it's a, but Gamboa kind of laughed it off at the end, like, dude, this is your guy. Like he's way. Gamboa's attitude towards the end was like, yo, this kid's good, but this is what you got. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, Haney is literally avoiding all possible contact.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
It's
hit,
just
not get
fucking
hit.
boring.
And then against Linares, yeah, he actually got pieced up towards the end. I mean, he held his composure. I don't know. I couldn't say battle tested, but he, you know, Linares was getting his ass whooped. I think it was like round
Right.
11, maybe 10. He came out and clocked him and rocked him. And I'm like, yo, this is like 35 years old, just went
Right.
10 rounds, getting his ass beat, and then he still rocked you. Like, whoa.
Still rocked them.
Damn near
And,
knocked out.
you know, back in the days, there was a lot of fighters that fought Haney, and they would do shit like that, and the judges would be like, "Man, you didn't do anything. You losing this fight." You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
right.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, it was like Linares ain't no joke though. I give it to Linares. He was tough.
Well, you got to also understand too. Not only was Linares older, but he was like inactive for close to 2 years.
3 years, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had
And then
out the ring.
he only had one fight, and then is inactive a whole year before that. So like, I did that math on somebody one time. I was like, yo, within 4 years, it's like 35-year-olds only had like 2 fights.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, he was ring rusted as fuck when he went in there against Devin Haney too. So I don't know, but again, I just want to see somebody actually fight the dude. I wanted to see Lomachenko fight Devin Haney. Instead, he's fighting Richard
That's
Shelton.
the fight I want to see too.
I don't understand why Loma's fighting Comey. It makes no fucking sense. Why?
That I don't get either.
It's just stupid. Like,
Not sure on that.
because you got to look at it like this. Okay, Loma, in my opinion, has a lot of momentum going for him because he beat the shit out of Nakatani. Tio struggled with him. However, Tio knocked out Comey in 2 fucking rounds. There's no way Loma's gonna do that. He's not gonna look better than Tio did. So now you kill momentum. The point is, if you're gonna fight somebody, win and beat the person better than Tio did. You're taking a fight that you can't look better in. It's impossible.
Right, and then at the same time, Nakatani, Loma took that fight because Nakatani knocked out what's his name, Verdejo.
Yeah, and then
Can't remember who it
Verdejo's
was.
girlfriend.
Yeah, clean his clock, and then after the hype came up around Nakatani again, I can understand Loma taking that fight because it's like, yo, I'm still that dude. Watch, check this out.
It's a good win. It's a good win. Nakatani is a hell of a good win.
Yeah, that made perfect sense. But then now it's like, I'm just waiting for one of these young dudes to fight somebody who we could sit there and be like, yo, I don't know who's winning this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For Loma.
Oh no, I'm saying
Period.
for any of these, no, for any of these young dudes, whether it be Haney,
Oh yeah,
Garcia,
yeah.
Tank, I don't. You can safely predict like, okay, Haney, or Tank versus blah blah blah, like Rolly. You already know what's up with that for the most part.
I think Haney's size is a little bit too much for Tank Davis.
Yeah, Haney's low key pretty big too.
Yeah, his size is gonna be a little bit too much. Well, I heard out here in the Bay Area, Haney was sparring Amir Khan when Amir Khan was training to fight I think who was he training to fight? I think he was training to fight Crawford. And my boy told me that Amir Khan was serving Haney
Oh
like
shit.
pretty bad. I don't know if it's true, but he was fucking Haney up.
Well, I mean, I could
And
be.
that's only because Haney, I don't know if you guys know, but you guys know Haney don't spar like he boxes. When he spars, he goes in all out war,
Oh, does he?
which is weird, which is fucking mind boggling to me. I don't know what's up with that. But they say that he likes to rumble when it's sparring. So supposedly he was trying to do a little bit too much to Khan, and Khan kind of put the little beaters on him. Like, hold on, man, I'm your elder.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true. It could be just a rumor, but that's what they say. So
I
yeah,
mean,
hey, no,
Khan's pretty big compared to Haney, and I mean he's still probably pretty damn fast, even like at that point with Crawford. But I mean, I
Well, the
wouldn't
thing,
I wouldn't doubt it.
outside of Crawford, nobody's outboxed Amir Khan. Like Amir Khan had no chin. So like, case in
Matt,
point, when
Man, he was
Amir,
giving it to Canelo first like 5 rounds.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When Amir Khan was fighting Canelo, he was outboxing, making him look
Hell yeah,
fool
that
until
was
he
that
got
was pretty
caught.
damn good.
That's the problem with Amir Khan. He's got no fucking chin. If you catch him, it's over. He's done. There is
Yeah,
no
yeah.
recovery for him.
check this
He's
out.
just mind turned off. Like he's sleeping. So I could believe Amir Khan beat the shit out of Haney.
I gotta find a video where I met him. He was out here and he was in a barbershop and me and the dude who was he was cutting my hair. My boy Eric cutting my hair. We was talking to him about the Canelo fight, and I straight up asked him. I gotta find the fucking one of my hard drives. I want to post it, but I asked him, you know, what happened with the Canelo? You know, damn, why'd you take that fight? And he straight up told me, man, in the very first round, he said when he caught Canelo and Canelo's face didn't even move, his neck didn't even budge. He said himself, yo, man, brother, it was just a matter of time before he was gonna get. He's like, I didn't have nothing.
You know what?
Like
I
my
think I've
son, I
seen.
get nothing.
I could have sworn I've seen like an article on that or something like that when maybe it was your video. I don't know. I don't know who it was, but I remember I swore I saw something where Amir Khan said something like, "Yeah, I hit him with my best shot and he didn't flinch." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, he admitted it. He straight up told us like I hit him and he didn't even like blink. He did his neck did nothing moved and he was like fuck. Like anybody else, they would have been stunned. Like it's like it was just a size difference.
Yep.
You know?
Well, and I don't today's Canelo. I don't think anybody beats him around 168. I know he's about to fuck Plant up so bad.
Oh, Plant's getting knocked out.
Yeah,
Plant's getting knocked out.
he's getting slept bad. Like
Yeah,
Billy
I
Joe
think for the
Saunders
first,
is a better fighter than Plant, man.
yeah,
much better.
man, Billy Joe gave it to Canelo at times too, man. Like shit, that was
He
and
did.
then boom, out of nowhere. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure any Canelo fan would have been concerned at a point because they were like, hey, "Yo, Billy Joe can box, man. He's boxing. He's
no,
moving."
Billy Joe's a very good mobile boxer, but at the end of the day, he got his fucking face broke, literally. Like Canelo broke his damn face,
Yeah,
and it's
was
Tony,
crazy.
check this out.
cold blooded, Tony.
Hold on, Ross Clark. So before Billy Joe fought Canelo, there's a boxer named Daniel Dubois, heavyweight, that quit when he fought Joe Joyce because he got a broken orbital bone. Billy Joe was
Yeah,
talking
Daniel Dubois.
I will never quit. I would never quit. And there he goes, get his shit broken. He quits the same way.
And quit.
Yep.
And quit. Hey, you know what? I wonder if Wilder could knock out Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce chin is a goddamn front end of the front end.
Oh, no. Joe Joyce, like his defense is catching punches to the face. Like I don't know. I don't know.
I know.
Knock him out. I don't know. And he hits hard. Like his shots were so slow, but they hit so fucking hard.
Yeah, yeah. And that jab is slow, but it got so much power behind it.
It's like you could see the ripples in the air from his fucking power coming behind it. It's like damn a Dragon Ball Z thing.
Yeah.
Like you just see the impact before it impacts. Like
Did you ever watch the Super Series with him and Usyk?
yeah, Usyk beat him.
Yeah, fuck man, Joe Joyce still fights just like that.
But you
Just
know,
he just
back then Joe Joyce was much smaller though.
Yeah, he was smaller, but he fights the exact same way. It's just that he's just more endurance.
Yeah, and he doesn't get tired. Like he
there's no.
tired.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if Wilder can knock him out. Wilder definitely can land shots on him, but I don't know. Like, problem is, if he doesn't knock him out and Joe Joyce can push him against the ropes, ooh, Joyce gonna fuck Wilder up. Wilder,
hey, y'all, I gotta go. Tony, right on, man. Right on to meet you, Anthony G. Tony, I gotta go, man. Salute.
All right, I'm about to end the stream, then I'm about to get off. Hey, I appreciate it every time you get on. And Kangaroo Jack. Appreciate you jumping on. On that note, we about to end. Thank you for everybody.
Yeah, we'll do it again, man. I appreciate it.
What's that?
Peace, man. I said we'll do it again, man. I appreciate it.
Yep, appreciate you.
All right. Peace, man.
Right.
Take care.
Hey, y'all have a good day. Today, we're in the stream here.